pausing in our experience. What is it that we hope to gain by listening to many men and women talk about their experiences in this life as compared to their other lives? Most of us are yearning for our affection to be brought through in the vision of love of soul. Many are denied that vision because they are assuming there was something out there for them to reach to. What is this out there vision that others are talking about, so kindly and wisely discerning who is and isn't valuable for them? Who is it that looks us in our face, right? Our eyes, tells us we're loved, adored, and cherished. And yet when we look in the mirror, we don't see that same vibration bouncing back at us, right? Or looking back at us. We're often not their cup of tea, is where many like me are going. I'm not there to tell you you're saved by some man in his wisdom. But that is where people are looking to, in essence, to the souls that have gone through the process of life, liberty, right? No, this is about our experience here on this plane when we are going through the traumas of divorce, when others around us are saying that's not the way to be, or the better yet, those who are going through the vision of I'm on a soul level with people and hearing the nature of what a divorce on a soul level entails and what it is that we are to do with that vision. Do you know what it's like to get bombarded by soul visions who want to have a say in who I am to be, perhaps, or who I was? And that's where the acceptance of who I was came in with a big bang. And I said, this is who I am. This is who I vibrate with. Now, many along the way have gone into this vision of I need to rest my head on a gentle shoulder, take a deep breath, and begin again. This is what happens for many of us who've aligned with the nature of my soul has my back. And we have to realize that many others are not wanting or experiencing their own soul's wisdom as of yet. So the only thing that they really have at their disposal is the idea of let me look in and ask myself the questions that matter. Am I worthy of Brenda's soul, right? Brenda was doing an aspect of channeling that was so strong for her that it helped her to unwind the vision of what love really was for her. I no longer have to depend on the men in my life for the emotional support that I need. This is where we were, in essence, with her, dependent on men for their income, their values, and their trust. And when people start to say, ooh, this is getting a little juicy, right? People want to know what it's like to feel the fear of rape, perhaps, right? This is going to turn off a lot of people because they want to know what it's like to do the vision of love for all of us. That's where most people want to head. Not in the vision of I'm reuniting with my soul on a level of love of who I am. But if I'm not willing to look into the mirror and say what needs to be said, correct? How many people are worried about what they did or didn't do in this life so far that they don't want to go through the process. This is why your soul always adores you. You're honest to a T. Once we go to the nature of I'm aligning with who I am as soul, and we open up our hearts to others, we have to then ask ourselves the questions, am I ready for it? Am I ready to hear those who were victims of who I was in their minds on this plane? It's an experience to be beholden, or to behold. It's not for everybody. It's not meant to scare people off. It's meant to show you that there are levels of guidance that many will offer you. Some will say, I'm only going to bring through the vision from one soul at one point in time, who now vibrates in the beauty of who I am always, because that is the highest of the high. We are not separate from any soul, but it doesn't mean that we have to hear from every soul. Okay, it's more like, who is it that's still vibrating in the beauty of who I am, but doesn't align with the nature of where I'm at in my mind or my soul's vision for who I am to be? Do you know how many people get told they're not going to go to some heavenly realm because they're doing their vision here on this plane instead of waiting until they cross over outside of the vision of who we are in this body? This body holds me back is where many go. It has its own destructive visions for many. But in essence, people are saying to themselves, I want to align with that highest of wisdom for me that allows me to be who I am, that allows me to show people I know how to guide you away from the destruction of who you are into the beauty of who you are. What I don't do is I will not allow for others to place me as less than someone else and then expect me to give them the best of the best for their own hearts. You won't be able to deal with the conflict that can bring through. I can bring through that vision very well. But does it seem right in the minds of many to say, I hold someone else as above you, but I want you to bring me something different? And Brenda's very kind and says, why are you worried about your own soul's vision for who you are? I love who I am, set me free. That's where many of us go. We set ourselves free from those conditions of the mind that held us back from being more of who we are. I love who I am for the most part. I still have my own issues with certain things. Dealing with the souls on the other side of the veil is a very interesting endeavor. And that is why people are assuming it is just those who have crossed over from this plane into the next. When you arrive at soul, you are very much connected to the all. You are not separate from any soul. You have your groupings, of course, but you may have a little kick in the pants to decide, I think I'm going to focus on the fun of who I am and not the, quote, seriousness of who I am. I was very serious for a long time. I'm not here to justify my wisdom to others. I'm not here to tell people their wisdom is less than mine. What I am saying is that if you are desiring of that idea of a soul session, please feel free to line up, right? I had this idea that people would want to hear from their own souls. What I didn't expect was how many on the other side of the veil are still clinging to the idea of Jesus is still as one rather than the all. Or their vision is he's of oneness while we are in the vision of the love of all. And there are various vibrations that people are trying to create with. And that's why Brenda said, thanks, but no thanks. I will stick with the love of all, because in essence, I am opened up to more than just one soul's vision of what true beauty really is. The love of all doesn't mean just us as people. We've gone through that. Okay? We are more about the consciousness of who we are. The adoration of who we are as souls is a beautiful expression, though. Brenda loves her soul because her soul is very smart, right? It's a wisdom that she garners from many because she's highlighted their hearts in the positive. And when others are saying, but what about me? And then they put her in a place of less than, she's wondering, why are they even in my vibration? If they want to be held up above me as wise, I would say beautiful. Go for it. Do your vision of what is wise for you. This is why she gets it. I'm not here to tell people that they're less than me. This is why it can be hard when I'm working through issues and people are coming at me with concepts that I've already dealt with time and time again on the soul level, saying that vision is null and void for the most part. Why are we still in it? And when I say null and void, it was a derogatory vision that I had said at one point. And it was because of the nature of that negativity that I then received some of it back. This is the honesty of that experience. Now, I have people who are purporting to be victims of me who come through and ask for forgiveness, correct? Not even close. They know what the true forgiveness is. It's something we grant to ourselves and others if they are wanting it, right? Brenda doesn't do any such thing. I look at others and I forgive those visions, but I would never ask anybody for that vision. Ever. I will apologize for my missteps or my misgivings. Forgiveness is not something I ask for, because in essence, that is up to each and every one of us in our own hearts and minds to know whether or not we want to do that with each soul or not. I grant that to you even when I don't necessarily feel it, because I know it comes to me in time. But I do not ask others to have those same feelings towards me, because that is their journey of victimhood or whatnot that they are still vibrating in if they are still coming to me. This is why I don't hear people coming to me asking for forgiveness. Okay. Because I myself am not one to ask for that. How many people go around asking people for forgiveness? This might be something that's in the prayer groups and whatnot. Okay, and they are sending the loving messages. Brenda's very down to earth and very much of a, I will be good and free and clear with the majority of souls who understand now why. Because if I'm asking someone for forgiveness, I'm placing the burden on them. It's up to me to forgive myself. The other person has no vision about what it is to do that, right? It goes both ways. I can't deny the vision of beauty for anyone that does whatever they do in their moments. But to take a pause while some people look at her and say, what did you do that was so bad? To a parent of an ex-boyfriend, right? This is how long ago it vibrates. And she still hears from their hearts every so often saying he's still connected to his sweetheart on a soul level. These are those ideas of other realities that are playing out. But her soul knows, I'm sticking with this one. And this is why others are starting to open up to the nature of why our, quote, past lives and whatnot are really, truly vibrating in the beauty of what they are and what they've been. And we can bring through that idea of linear time is of no consequence when you go to soul. It's why I can bring through soul visions from those of long ago or those coming through from the future, bringing me my future. Okay, my future comes to me now ahead of time. And that's the documentation that I want others to write down. When you have those intuitive hits and whatnot, I want you to write them down so you can show people that this is why we honor all of the souls no matter what. Most have vibrated out of the nature of connection with these times and places in which we vibrate. And that's why most are saying past life regression is not necessarily a necessary ingredient in reaching your soul's vision of love, because the wisdom is often let out or left out of that vision if you're only focusing on the issues of my lives versus the wonder and amazement of who I am in each and every moment here on this plane. This is the nature of what my soul was granting me and still does. But I fight it often with others who are trying to, quote, lighten their loads upon my shoulders. Do you know how many people are trying to put their burdens on others to figure out for them? Instead of saying to themselves, I am surrounded by love and affection and adoration every day of every week, of every year that I vibrate in the beauty of who I am. I'm just not sensing it as of yet. This is when Brenda went to the nature of who I am as soul. I don't vibrate in the beauty of truly thinking I'm some other man's wisdom. I've had my soul with me my whole journey. It's a higher vision of who I am that has no boundaries by any books. That's who we all are, really, truly, vibrating in our hearts and souls of wonder, right? We get to feel the beauty of our love coming through for all of us. Most often, we just don't acknowledge it. Walk through the streets of Manhattan and see the beauty around you. Manhattan is a beautiful place for all of us when others say it's a dirty hellhole in their minds, right? This is the rich people's wisdom. There are some souls who are so angry at her vision for saying what she has said about their soul, right? Brenda will never, ever deny people their experiences of victimhood or the compassion or the sympathy that goes along with it. What she is not here to do is to just take your burdens, place them upon her chest, and say, now I get to deal with their burdens. This is what many are doing. They're placing their burdens onto the others around them, saying, you did this, you did this, you did this, instead of taking the responsibility for whatever behaviors or attitudes they may have come through in this lifetime, and accept and love and adore it, and then move on. But if you say, I have to place my burdens upon somebody else's shoulders, Brenda says, it hits me in the heart. I was disconnecting from my heart is what others were saying. I can't be disconnected from my heart. It's my mind that sometimes says I don't have the energy for all of the victimhood that people are trying to place upon me. Not as mine, but theirs. I'm denying the experience of who I was in each moment. Therefore, I need someone else to take that burden off of me. My soul will say it's about loving ourselves in each and every moment and each and every breath. How hard is that? Right? This is where I'm aiming. Okay, so what I want people to do is to align with the nature of the love of who they are, where they are, even if they are in the wisdom of I've got pain and suffering coming through. That's the nature of where I was. I was hearing my own pain and suffering coming through from various levels of love of life. It was this life. I don't need to go to my past lives. Okay? There are parallel realities as well that are coming through, but it's the wisdom within that we really want people to focus on here, because this is our journey on this plane, on this planet, in this moment. We want you to experience you as you, not as somebody else, not as a wisdom seeker, but bringing through whatever wisdom you yourself inherently honor, own, and adjust it, right? Many are saying, I've got plenty of wisdom and here it is for you. I had to bound my way through hell realms with certain people who decided that Satanism was their vision. Can you see why I might have been a little bit tired after that experience? So that's the nature of what people are worried about. The only problem with that idea was that's not where I vibrated, but their family tree did in one aspect, creating from that dynamic of it, and then placing that burden upon me to try and lift myself up enough that I didn't express any of their wisdom from it. Because that's what they claim they got from it. It was an experience to behold. Okay, there's some vision there but that is not what I am. I never vibrated in those books of old. I don't believe in that vision. Our heaven and hell is created from here. So think very carefully what people are going through. They could be experiencing that realm in their own way. And that's the satisfaction guaranteed that I offer, that people say, what? You don't have to go through that vision with anybody. You just tell them, this is your burden to carry. I am not your Sherpa. This is what I said as, as a soul. It made me think about the people who are trying to, help guide others. Right? There's a difference between I'm guiding you versus I'm going to carry your whole load for you while we trek up this mountain together. Brenda's like, I'm going even Steven. I'm not climbing any mountains. I'm already arrived at my peak of guidance for my soul. I did what I needed to do. I can set people free from certain burdens of their minds, but I'm not here to take their energy work and just say, here, I set you free from who you are, because that's what most people are working with. So you see, while I misunderstood certain intentions for people coming through, LL Cool J was one of them. That was one of those souls of past who has a very vibrant, beautiful vision, who would say, I would align with her over Christ, in essence, if you are afraid of who you are. And people are going to say, what? It's the known vision of what is coming through, which is more about aligning us with who we really are, rather than those who are trying to be something that they aren't. You're going to have a better experience as a soul if you align with the nature of who you are, versus I'm trying to be somebody I'm not. Okay, it doesn't mean those visions are less than. They are just as beautiful then as they are now. But they don't have the same confluence of vision. Too many souls have been reading books of old that have the errors of his wisdom written upon them. If they guide you to a beautiful place in your mind, beautiful, but be aware that the nature of the reunification of our souls and victory is for us to actually align with who we are as souls. Not trying to be somebody else. This is why the soul reunification can be a bittersweet process. Now, that soul is strong in his mind. He says she's more about the nature of someone else trying to bring another message through. So we're going to wind this up. But in essence, we want you guys to have the beauty of who you are each and every breath. So that's why it's hard for many, because they don't want to grant that to someone else that they disagree with. So those are those tips, strategies, and tricks that we're going to kind of help people along with when they get in those sticky situations with loved ones who want to, quote, demean them on this plane. It's not easy working with people that you aren't in agreement with or are out of alignment with. That's another episode about the nature of who we are as souls and how alignment is more about society's vision of what it is rather than the reality of it. So with that, I want to say thank you for watching. And remember, as my soul guided me to do, stay curious, wise, and soulful. Have an amazing day.